Well, the Eagles had an open practice at Linc Financial Field yesterday. 50,000 people in attendance. Jalen Hurts looked really good. Nolan Smith versus Lane Johnson, and plenty of injury updates, including a look at the 2 new linebackers the Eagles signed yesterday. A ton of stuff today and a whole lot more. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Monday. We have all the latest highlights and updates, and really the new signings as well, from the Eagles' ginormous open practice yesterday at Linc Financial Field. Let's start, though, with a happy 21st birthday today to your MVP and superstar quarterback, Jalen Hurts. Listen to the reception that he got at the Linc yesterday running out onto the tunnel. Boy, you just love to see that. Jalen Hurts was fantastic again yesterday. No interceptions. We'll have a lot of highlights of his day coming up here in just a little bit. I do want to mention quickly the signing of Zach Cunningham and Myles Jack. You missed the live stream. Myself and Josh Davis and I went live last night. We broke it down. Very, very simple. Depth, depth, depth. No guarantee either two of these linebackers are actually going to start for Philadelphia. Both Nakobe Dean out. We'll update you on him in just a second. And the releasing of Davion Taylor, they needed more camp bodies in there, more preseason bodies in there. And hey, technically both have started in the National Football League in the past, and so if you don't like Dean or Christian Ellis or Nicholas Morrow, then either two of these guys could go ahead and play. Let's just remember, though, both have coming off, obviously injuries. Both have not played up to their level. I'm a little more excited about Zach Cunningham than Myles Jack, but I think both solid signings here for a position that needed a little bit more depth to make sure we know exactly what we have going out of preseason and into the week 1 of the regular season. Now, let's start with the injury report from yesterday. Here's the update on where we were at. No James Bradbury practicing. He was on the sideline, though. Same for Deon Cain. Nakobe Dean, that ankle still lingers, and Patrick Johnson, it's an ankle officially instead of a calf, as we had heard earlier. Reddick, Barnett, and Avonte Maddox all were 100% goes yesterday, and we saw some Derek Barnett pass rush moves we're going to show you later that looked pretty darn good, but the health of the Eagles seems to be fine. The question really becomes, how much longer will Nakobe Dean be out? And really, James Palmer has an update on that for you guys here, where he said, quote, Nakobe Dean is making the calls for the Eagles defense in the middle, has an ankle injury that I'm told isn't at all serious. These moves add depth, as Howie Roseman always looks to do this time of year. This happened on the D-line yesterday. And so whether you think that these two signings were because they're worried about Nakobe Dean, James Palmer says he does not believe that that is the case. It's a depth move, but Dean continues to kind of be the starting middle linebacker when healthy week 1 for this Eagle defense. Now, over here to a couple of highlights and a couple of news and notes from the Eagles open practice. We continue to see Nolan Smith just absolutely tear up the offensive line that he goes against, at least the second string offensive line. Jeff Kerr has you 1.5 sacks during open practice for Nakobe Dean. Smith was so quick off the edge and is learning a ton from his one-on-one battles with Lane Johnson. Now, speaking of those one-on-one battles with Lane Johnson, he's not winning them, right? They're going up against each other, but Lane Johnson continues to hold down his own and be very, very all-pro, I should say, future Hall of Famer against the young Nolan Smith. Jeff Tolentino says, been so much fun watching Nolan Smith go up against Lane Johnson. As expected, the three-time All-Pros win a majority of their matchups. The rookie never stops churning to the final whistle. Johnson erases him most plays, but Smith has a non-stop motor, as you would expect. You don't think Nolan Smith's going to roll in here and beat up on Lane Johnson, right? It's not what you were actually believing was going to happen. Well, so far it hasn't. But, again, yesterday, even at the open practice, Nolan Smith should have had about 1.5, maybe 2 sacks, and you'd love to continue to hear that. I cannot wait for Saturday night against the Baltimore Ravens when you get to see him in the flesh, in reality, actually going against teams he can actually sack and tackle the quarterback. Thumbs up, very excited for that. Speaking of another pass rusher, Derek Barnett, the first look at him at Eagles training camp on video that I have seen. Here he is going very, very, I would say strong against Julian Good-Jones in one-on-ones here. He's healthy. He's finally healthy. Missed the entire season this past year. A lot of people have written him off as a cut candidate. He's going to make this roster. Now, it is Julian Good-Jones, no offense to him, but that's not Lane Johnson or Jordan Mailata. But it's good to see Barnett, the former first-round draft pick, and a guy who can give you a couple of sacks here and there if he doesn't cause penalties and he can stay on the football field. I think he for sure makes the roster, and you love to see him at least getting a couple of good bull rushes there against a backup offensive lineman. Now, over here to a very interesting take from John McMullen, who says, Ben Van Sumeren, the undrafted free agent linebacker out of Michigan State, he broke the first team defensive huddle during the open practice yesterday. Now he didn't play the entire time as the first team linebacker, but he did get reps in there, which was very, very surprising to me. Now, you also see Sean Bradley got first team reps, which maybe is just the fact that they let go of Davion Taylor and Dean is out. These guys are moving up naturally, but the fact that Van Sumeren, a guy who a lot of people kind of circled as a undrafted free agent player to watch, is getting first team reps, at least for a portion of an open practice. Keep an eye on him. We've been hearing good things, not to say he's going to be a starter or anything, but making the roster seems to be a very real possibility for him in this Philadelphia Eagle training camp time. Now, over here to the play of the night, and that was the only TD of the night for the Eagles offense, at least the first team offense, and that was A.J. Brown catching this incredible Moss touchdown over Josh Jobe. The throw from Jalen Hurts there in the middle of the left side of the end zone. Now, Jobe has had a very, very good training camp, and most people believe he is going to make this roster, and he's gotten a lot better in the slot. It could be pushing Avonte Maddox a little bit if Maddox were to get banged up during the season, but you see A.J. Brown and why he is wide receiver 1 and plays so darn good, and such a good addition for the Philadelphia Eagles here, making that incredible leaping catch over Jobe there to basically end the first open practice at Lincoln Financial Field. Love to see that. Thumbs up for A.J. Brown, absolutely balling out. Now, over here to a very interesting take from Jeff Kerr as we get ready to wrap it up on today's show. Mekhi Gardner, he apparently is being very convincing. As Jeff Kerr says, every practice I go to, I'm getting more convinced Mekhi Gardner's going to make this team. Now, Gardner, of course, is the defensive back out of LSU, and you kind of start to wonder, how does he fit on this roster, right? Where does he actually end up? Because you have all these corners. I mean, you have Slay, you have Bradbury, you have Maddox, you have Jobe, you have Ringo, who's been popping off, you have McPherson, who's looked a little bit better, you have Gardner, then you have safeties, Blankenship, Edmonds, Wallace, and Brown. I mean, there are a lot of secondary players on a roster that used to be devoid of them. We used to have no good cornerbacks, and now we have about 5 good cornerbacks and a bunch of young guys, too, like Gardner, Eli Ricks, Keely Ringo, who are trying to not only make this roster, of course Ringo will, but stay on the roster and push for potential future starting jobs once Bradbury and Slay go ahead and hang things up. So you love to see this, and I think it's very interesting to circle that Gardner and Van Sumeren, 2 very, very low-level guys, undrafted free agent, late-round draft picks, are making a little bit of noise here at camp. Their real time to shine is going to be at the first preseason game, where they have a chance to make plays and make a roster and be on the 53-man or at least on the practice squad for the defending NFC champs, the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, we already saw the Jalen Hurts passing touchdown to A.J. Brown, but his overall training camp day 7 stats at the open practice were, again, pretty solid. 13 of 19, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. A solid practice. Most of the sloppy play was before the snap from the offense, but his accuracy was good and pretty good decision-making, says Elliott Shore-Parks. And so you get a couple of these highlights that you're seeing on your screen right now of what was happening with the offense and what's happening with the defense. Quick shout-out, though. All of this stuff was courtesy of my man Luke Branham. I believe what you say is Luke Branham. Branham at Branham Luke on Twitter. He had a bunch of highlights here from the open practice. He was obviously there, including Tanner McKee, who was playing with Brady Russell afterwards and making some additional passes after practice was over. Jalen Hurts was doing wind sprints with a couple of players after practice, and so a lot of these guys were getting some extra work in. But Tanner McKee is someone I'm very interested to see play in the preseason as well. Apparently, he's been playing decently enough to at least draw some, really good overall reviews or overall grades, and I think he will be your 3rd string quarterback, and they'll let go of Ian Book based on what we've heard so far. But love all these highlights, and big shout out to, again, Luke Branham for going ahead and getting these up on your screen, because it's been fantastic to be able to see stuff like this and at least see some plays, right? The Eagles have not been doing any sort of live streams or any sort of video work during actual practice. We've not seen any real 11-on-11 camera work from the Eagles themselves, and so there are 50,000 plus of you guys, some of whom were subscribers of my show, at practice yesterday, and having some of these passing touchdowns and passes and runs and stuff looks really, really good to me, and I appreciate all of that from you guys. Okay, plenty more stuff happening over the next couple of days and weeks here, including a Wednesday Linc Live, including daily shows, and live during the preseason game against the Ravens. We're going to have the play-by-play for you guys, myself and Josh Davis. Be sure to subscribe. A bunch of new subscribers here, over 16,000 strong. Cannot thank you guys enough. Let's keep it going here. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.